Jazz is not a type of music, as most people believe. Jazz did not start with a trumpet. It did not start with a saxophone, not with a piano, nor with a trombone. Jazz is a feeling, the feeling that all people as humans possess, a feeling of freedom and creativity that can be achieved through expressing oneself in any activity, be it painting a picture, writing a poem, or creating a new sound. Jazz is the idea of equality, the idea that we are all the same, no matter what our race or our gender. We are all people, and we all have that one thing in common. Jazz has shown us this and helped the country develop as a place of equality and opportunity. Starting in the early 1900s and peaking during the 1920s, the Jazz Age revolutionized the world of music as well as views of society by introducing new rhythms and styles that influenced a new way of thinking and brought forth a new idea of society as a whole. This was accomplished by bringing forth new ideas of how life should be lived and challenging the common views of the people and what was expected for different races and sexes.
What I do, what I do, da da do, da da do.
Jazz began as a product of the Harlem Renaissance in New Orleans, Louisiana, at the beginning of the 1920s. The idea of jazz changed the people themselves, along with the music, and challenged the ideas and views given to all genders and races of people. In the early 1900s, the country was at a low point economically, socially, and emotionally. The people were not united, and the problems facing the country were making the matters worse. Racial tension was at a peak, and violence had broken out among the races. There was something missing from the country, something needed to bring liveliness and unification to the people. The introduction of jazz gave a new sound to the country and forced the people to reevaluate their views. The reaction of the people to jazz was widely ranged. Some supported the jazz movement and everything it stood for, while others despised
thrived
jazz.
in adversity and come to symbolize a certain kind of American freedom, will be called upon to lift the spirits and raise the morale of a frightened country. And in the process, it would begin to break down the barriers that had separated Americans from each other for centuries.
When you talk about jazz and freedom, see, everybody in the United States was looking for that. The idea of finding a place where you can be yourself and where you feel comfortable in whatever the community is, that you think that your family is safe, that you think that your dreams may have some possibility of being realized. That's the American story, regardless of what the color of the person is.
Pioneers of jazz included Joe Oliver, Louis Armstrong, Jelly Roll Morton, Bix Beiderbecke, Duke Ellington, Miles Davis, Charlie Parker, Ella Fitzgerald, Dizzy Gillespie, John Coltrane, and many more. These were the musicians that challenged the world of music with a new sound and a new style. They brought a new sense of rhythm and swing to a depressed country. African Americans saw this new sound as a way to express their own creativity and show that not only whites could produce greatness. The idea of jazz did not only occur to music, rather, it extended to the fight for equality as well. During the Jazz Age, many of the women danced, drank, smoked, and partied just like the men did. These women were called flappers. With their rolled stockings and scanty low-waist dresses, the flappers were the subject of a great deal of controversy and public discussion. Many critics found their departure from the fashions and manners of the corseted women who came before them representative of a lapse in morality among the young and of an emerging generation gap. They were inspired by the jazz ideas to challenge the general idea of the modern-day woman. The new woman was the idea of the free, independent woman in response to the common view of the American housewife. The ideas of freedom and self-expression displayed in jazz inspired the women of the 1920s to fight for their freedom of rights and challenge the views expected of them by society. The music told its own story, and each song had a different meaning behind it. Different types of people and races of people interpreted the music in different ways. With the return of the Ku Klux Klan and the segregation of schools, plus the many assassinations occurring during this time period, much of the music reflected outright hostility towards the government. Some blacks saw the music as a sound of rebellion and fighting, while others saw this as a true story of what was going on in the world and wanted to change the world in a nonviolent way. At the same time, some whites saw this as another example of enraged black men, while others heard the music and agreed with the message that the music was sending.
Ridiculous, Danny. Governor Foreman. Why is he so sick and ridiculous? He won't permit. I said in school. Then he's a fool.
Although many Americans resisted the social changes taking place during the 1920s, the Jazz Age marked the first time that African American music and culture made their way into popular culture. And for the first time in America, the culture of a minority was embraced by the majority.
The end result of the Jazz Age was a new attitude and style for the country, an African American contribution to society that would forever change the world of music and the way that people thought about different issues, races of people, and genders of people. The Jazz Age proved that no matter how different a person or what gender they are, we can all rock to the same rhythm and find the beat of our own drum. The Jazz Age showed the country how to roll with the punches, how to improvise when needed. Also, it brought each race a new sense of confidence and self-worth. We showed that as a country, we can get along about something, and we all have something to give as people, as races, and as a country. Jazz is not a type of music. It is a feeling, an idea that allows you to express yourself and achieve greatness to the best of your ability. The effects of jazz are evident to this day. Many musicians still play jazz, and the effects of jazz are present in some of today's songs. The Jazz Age revolutionized the world of music, as well as the world outside of music. We will forever remember the rhythm.